Travis Wayne Goodsell. So the YouTube Mormon employee is pissed. I'm not being allowed to get this part 2 up and going. I uploaded it and it won't process. He's refusing to process it. So I uploaded it again, and now he's refusing to upload it. It keeps resetting the upload. It's done it several times now. And I figured something was wrong when I went to sign in and Google stepped in and said, "We want to confirm your identity first." They were forcing me to do the 2-step program, so bleep you, and I bypassed it by getting into my Google account, or Gmail account. So, yeah, not cool. And then, I'm trying to access my packages from the Postal Service, and it won't let me in the door to get them. And so nobody's responding from the company. So I'm concerned that this video isn't going to work because I can see that the mouth to audio is not clicking. It's due to the uploading, which just reset itself again. So part 3 is going to be late tonight, but we'll see. I'll have to wait until this is solved before I can continue on. So this will be put at the beginning of the video. Alright, Travis Wayne Goodsell, part 3. It is kind of a prerequisite to be watching parts 1 and 2 first. But you're going to do what you're going to do. So, yeah, sure enough, I'm smelling the chlorine from my taps. So that's not a good indicator. I've already had experience with chlorine bleach fumes. That is not healthy. Man. So, another reason why I buy a collection of entertainment and convert it to digital is because I noticed that the topics have a direct application to our cultural society and political society, as people often utilize references to movies and songs to explain or to justify certain actions. So, yeah, it's for multiple reasoning that entertainment gets collected by me as well. Plus, there's a lot of fun songs out there. But again, Mormons are wanting to embrace Christianity evangelicals who are full-on idol worshippers, in that instead of the precepts, they're focused on the beat and the tone and the clothing styles of the people. But throughout time, the older generations are always complaining about the new technology that comes out. That's inevitable. You know, evangelicals were first complaining about photographic pornography, and they'd go back and complain about naked statues and naked paintings that are classic works of art that need to be preserved. But instead, they want to shame women, body shame, and they want to cause the emotional bullying upon women to force them into a depression. It was the Daily Show. What's her name? Can't remember her name. She's been the host this week, as Trevor Noah has quit. And so the Daily Show is now having different people host each week in an attempt to try to figure out who's going to replace Trevor Noah. And you can't. Trevor Noah is a one of a kind. He's an original, and he will be missed. To quote the Radio from Hell show here in Utah with Carrie, Bill, and Gina, whenever somebody would die, they'd always bring that up. They were awesome. But, yeah. So anyway, the editions of Latter-day Prophecies, we've gone over Joseph Smith history and the editions there. We've gone over how the Book of Mormon, when understood as prophecy in symbolic code, contains a whole measure splits of revelation for us. And I've gone over how to interpret that, as Section 45 also was able to help illustrate how to interpret the Book of Mormon. And we went over Section 101, as we again confirm the prophets are going to betray us. Now, in this example, the enemy comes by night, but the prophets are still able to flee. And that's unusual, because the prophets sleep during the middle of the night as well. So they would have to have been woken up to be alerted to the enemy threat that's coming. Thus, there will be time given before the enemy comes in and attacks. But an attack by an outside enemy is the case, as the United States got to be that for Brigham Young, because Brigham Young fled the country, as we see those patterns. And we're going to have a collapsing economy if nothing happens on Monday. And that's just another sign for me to remind you that what's coming is coming for anybody who listens. So let's get to the comparable section that Brigham Young refused to put in his Doctrine and Covenants. And this will probably be the quickest way. And there it is. So there's Albert Pike. All ties in together. And it looks like it's going to take forever to come up. I paid the several $100s for a lifetime on multiple computers for Word way back in 2015. And so I'm kind of pissed that they've been tampering with my program that I fully paid for. And there was a period of time where they were wanting me to do further purchasing. Really disturbing. I don't want them tampering with the program. I want them gone. I don't want them spying on me. I don't want them sending back information about their product. I bought it. It worked. Leave me alone. I will notify you if there's a problem. But the problems are always because of their tampering. So, 19 July 1840. This is a sermon by Joseph Smith, the founder of Mormonism, and it's not in our canon of Scripture, which is an abomination in and of itself. And so apparently I'm going to need to blow it up. %, really? Well, then let's try 75%. Let's try 100. Better. Okay. All right. So, Brigham Young did not want this published. Kept it a sacred secret. So, we are told he read a chapter in Ezekiel, and we're left wondering what it was, but it would obviously have to do with the latter days. And so there's several of them, and as he then, immediately after this quote from Ezekiel, he then goes on to a parable of the 12 olive trees. And so that narrows it down in Ezekiel. One of which is 17, about the Mormon who would be born in the San Francisco Bay Area. His nativity would be in Oakland, California. He would move to Michigan, where the Great Lakes are, and be at the top of the mountains. Utah! And that's where it will be on the 23rd of September 2017, starting his ministry to get people's attention, to get them out of the great and abominable church that is going to cause all these problems. And so then he goes to read the parable of the 12 olive trees, which is section 101 that we covered in part 2. And so they obviously didn't have that revelation in front of them to give the recording, because there's some information that she is unaware of. All right, I'm not finding it immediately, so let's just go through it. And so, it does need to be edited for publication, because it's very sloppy, as it's her notes. It was never even considered for publication. And so lots of Mormon myths have been created by not having access to this document. But speaking of the land of Zion, that it consisted of all North and South America, but that any place where the saints gather is Zion. And so he's talking generally about Zion. But there's a specific Zion that he's talking about here. And so if you're just going to pick and choose what you want to believe in and preach, you're going to be wrong. You need to understand the whole context. So when Bednar came out and ordered saints to come to Zion, Utah, and then I exposed it, and so now he's backtracking, and I'm saying, wherever the temple is, there you need to gather. Stay away from us, because they're replacing us. And the chlorine, dear God, what a nightmare. So yeah, I'm not refilling my water bottles like I used to in West Valley City. This is unsafe, and I'm already experiencing the rashes, skin rashes, because of the chlorine water. Plus, I've got the air vents that are not being cleaned with the filters, and so that I'm also experiencing rashes and the phlegm buildup, causing the excessive coughing still. So, yay, I'm free in a new apartment. And so he says the 12 trees are the 12 stakes, which are yet to be built. But listen to this. But not the temple in Jackson County, as some suppose. Where are we told Zion will be built? Independence, Missouri, with the temple at the Temple Lot, and it's owned by the Temple Lot Church, and across the street is the snow cone, or not snow cone, the ice cream cone, upside down ice cream cone, Church of Christ, or not Church of Christ, the Community of Christ, which was the reorganized Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And then we have a stake center across the street from them. And so, the church has been stringing you along. They joke about it in conference, they tease you, and then now we're here and they're all silent on it. They used to tell you to prepare a year's supply of food, and then Nelson, nope, silence. And wouldn't it be nice if you had your year's supply of food during these last few years? Yep. It's more than a year's supply that we needed, isn't it? And so, it's not going to be Independence, Missouri. That is not Zion. That's just another location. And it just happens to be on the path of the total solar eclipse on the 21st of August, 2017, Nelson's birthday, and the first year, the New Year day of the ancient Egyptian religious calendar New Year. So awesome when I saw that. They knew, because solar eclipses give you a date and a location on Earth. They knew the date, they knew where on Earth it would occur. That's how superior they were to us. And we're not talking 4000 BCE. Try adding some ones in front of that. So yeah, that's incredible. So all of this speculation that the primitives were primitive is all BS. They were highly intelligent. And so yeah, for Egyptian to all be established all of a sudden, a whole culture just magically appears. Yeah, no. This has been a condition long, long before. They're just purposely lying to us. And so, it's Southern Illinois. Because on 8 April 2024, the Smith's Farm in Manchester, New York, and Kirtland, Ohio, now get passed over. Passover. Catch that? And they cross in Southern Illinois. And so the one on 14 August 2023 that forms the Aleph over the United States of America with all three eclipses, yeah, it's over Utah. And it has to do with Samson and the death of his first wife in the church. So all of these are symbolic. All of these are signs in the heavens in the likeness of things on the earth, as Joseph Smith translation Revelation 12:1 tells us. Which is another addition of the latter days, that all of these signs that are going on are prophecies. And because they're prophecies, it's because the scriptures were written knowing of the signs in the heavens of the latter days and wrote them down as scripture. They came from signs in the heavens. That's what Joseph Smith is referring to. Which was also the reward for Sidney Rigdon for having written the Book of Mormon, because he left the Campbellites, because Alexander Campbell refused to revise the whole book Bible to harmonize the old with the new. And so Sidney Rigdon left. Campbell revised the New Testament. Sidney Rigdon never got around to it until the Smiths needed a favor from him. And he worked on the Book of Mormon and then was rewarded, as he specifically had to join in December, not immediately, because that would blow the cover. But the cover was already blown because he thought that the Solomon Spaulding manuscript would not be known, but it was. But anyway, I'm going to forever struggle with my breathing because of what the damage the church has done to me. So, he's talking about the future. For while the 12 stakes are being built, we will be at peace, but the nations of the earth will be at war. So now we can add more into this bigger addition to the latter day prophecy. So what we have is the enemy comes in, destroys America. And that will trigger the wars around the world. Apparently there's going to be deportations or refugee status to allied countries. Then a man like Moses makes it to Southern Illinois and somehow is able to gather in the Mormons who've been scattered around the world back to Southern Illinois. And it's during the time when the other nations are at war. And so the peace means that the occupation of the United States is not yet. That somehow allied nations are able to fend off the enemy, or they're busy building in Utah, so that those of us in southern Missouri or southern Illinois won't be molested or made afraid. We'll be at peace. There is the prophecies of all those who fight against Zion shall perish. And so, yeah, it's not quite at peace, although that could be after Mormons start coming to Zion, is that other nations, the enemy nations, are finding out oh, there's some people here? Let's go get them. And they come and get them, and war to defend Zion will take place. But this is what Joseph is saying through his scribe, that as Mormons are building Zion, which appears like it'll go over 8 April 2024, building into the millennium, that will be the only place that will be of peace, safety, refuge. That's also in section 45. We didn't cover that, did we? So yeah, that's how I guess it's going to happen. We will continue pleading like the widow at the feet of the unjust judge. And yeah, he's talking about his day and time, that they've been pleading and the government's not responding. I've been pleading with the government and they're not responding. They're going to allow this to happen to America. The redemption of Zion is the redemption of all North and South America, which is interesting. This October 14th solar eclipse is indeed going to go down through North America into Central America and still go into north of South America. But that is very interesting, and is likely what he's referring to here, that this whole land is Zion. But it has to begin at the headquarters location, which is Southern Illinois. We will build Zion of the Lord in peace until the servants of that Lord shall begin to lay the foundation of a great and high watchtower. So yeah, a watchtower will be needed. But he's referring also to his day and time when they're going to start it, and referring to the parable in section 101. And he's trying to say that his day was a time of peace. Okay. Then the enemy shall come as a thief in the night, and, there it is, one blank line. Refer to section 101 to fill it in. And scatter the servants abroad. That's the prophets in the latter days here. When the seed of these 12 olive trees are scattered abroad, they will wake up the nations of the whole earth. Even this nation will be on the verge of crumbling to pieces and tumbling to the ground. Yeah. It will be an attack on America. And Mormons will be scattered all over the nation. This isn't missionary work in other nations, other worlds. Time travel missionaries. I'm a wormhole missionary. Where are you going on your mission? I'm going to Alpha Planet. I'm going to the Delta Quadrant. Oh, great. I just gave somebody $1 million idea for a new series. But it'll be done by Mormons. And so they'll screw it up and have Jesus involved. And so, yeah, I guess Mormons will be on the news with the destruction of America, or the attack on America, as the whole world will realize what's happened. And so I'm still unconvinced that America will allow the enemy to come in just to Utah and deport Mormons from Utah. I'm really struggling with that. But yeah, it's at the same time that our nation is on the very verge of crumbling to pieces and collapsing and tumbling to the ground. But the Constitution's already on the brink of ruin, if not collapsed. And so this has already happened with the 2020 election and January 6th, as I'm the only one who stood up to defend the nation. But then again, the Captain Moroni going back to Zarahemla could be the same similar situation. And when the Constitution is upon the brink of ruin, this people will be the staff which will go into the Capitol and poop on the walls, and try to stop the constitutionally appointed process for transition of power. Yeah, several Mormons were involved and are now in prison, rather than bearing away the Constitution from the very verge of destruction. I can tell you right now, Zion will be built on a constitutional republic. It is that you have a constitutional set of laws. What's going on? That govern the people equally. So it doesn't matter any of your discriminating categories, you're all going to be treated equally. So there's no reason to create a law to target a specific group, whether pro or con. But that's what we're seeing is what's destroying our Constitution, is groups who want laws for a specific group or against a specific group. And that's what's destroying it. So the First Amendment, the freedom of speech, we have the enemy wanting to be threatening, to be bullies as protected free speech. But in threatening and bullying other people, you are taking their right to free speech away because you're threatening and bullying them to be silent. Desi, that's her name. She was talking about how all of these commercials and advertisements and products for health and wellness and diets and appearance and all that stuff are harmful to women. And it's taking advantage of women's insecurity because of the bullying that's going on. And I've seen this transition over the decades. And it's psychology that's been a part of this. But it's sad to see women get so easily fooled and tossed about like a ship in the sea with every new fad that comes along, telling them that how they can lose weight, how they can get rid of their wrinkles, how they can get rid of the gray, how they can look younger, etc., etc., etc. And all these products are going to cause harm because our government will not step in and regulate them to make sure that they're safe first. So yeah, I saw it. Fox 13 News Utah and ABC 4 News Utah were advertising the cream that you rub on to get rid of wrinkles. Well, all it does is tighten the skin so that the wrinkles are gone. Well, the problem is that you now have to use it for the rest of your life with one application. Because what happens is you're tightening the skin, and then the skin loosens, and you got to use it again, and then go through the tightening and loosening process. Well, that causes stretching that you're going to have to, it's bad. Don't do it. But too late. They've already been advertising through the news, which people are trusting. And now harm has been done for those people who are now using that product. Because when you're in a situation of natural disaster or war, you can't buy more of that product. And so what's going to happen? You're going to get droopy face. It'll be like your skin's going to fall off. And everybody's going to be afraid of you when they look at you. Oh my God, you're melting! But this is for men and women, not just for women. But I did the videos warning you not to get that product, and they responded by doing more advertising of it. So, what happened to women are beautiful just the way they are? Why won't men let women know this? Why do men want to change women into something they're not? Well, because men got brainwashed to think that they got to have the woman change in order to appeal to them. Dum 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 dum. Then women are trying to change men. Turn it off. I'm told that you can turn it off, and I'm going to cover my whole body so that you won't get turned on. So yeah, we are under attack already. We've been under attack for decades, ever since psychologists came over from Nazi Germany. They were all a part of the 1980s with the dumb blonde who becomes a bimbo by the plastic implantation and the tanning. And then Botox. Dear God, I just want to cry. All right, so then shall the Lord say, go tell all my servants who are the strength of mine house. This is part of the gathering from all over the world. Come to my vineyard and fight the battle of the Lord. So yeah, that is the case. That Zion will first be built up in a time of peace, just like it was during Joseph's, but it wasn't a time of peace. But then, yeah, people are going to try to attack and destroy Zion from being built. And here's the European kings and queens, our allies, shall come then the kings and queens shall come then, the rulers of the earth shall come then, shall all saints come, yea, the foreign saints shall come to fight for the Lord of my vineyard. For in this thing shall be their safety, and they will have no power to choose, but will come as a man fleeth from a sudden destruction. Yeah, so there does need to be some editing, but yeah, our allies will come to the rescue of Zion, it looks like, as saints are wanting to come back, and they're going to need the government leaders of Europe to assist them in coming back to their land, to Zion. And so, yes, the enemy who destroyed America will learn of this attempt to rebuild Zion and seek to come and destroy them. And so thus we're going to have a big old battle at the Hill Cumorah. Not too far off. Not too far off. Yeah. And then he talks about how Brigham Young is Judas and will murder him. That's why it didn't get published. So then he encourages his people to begin to build Zion, the cities of the Lord. The mountain cities of the Lord. He's going to get to mountains later. Come back to city as possible. For Zion and New Jerusalem must both be built before the coming of Christ. Oops. This will near a half a century. How long will it take? That was crossed out. How long will it take to do this? 10 years? Yes. More than 40 years will pass before this work will be accomplished. When these cities are built, then shall the coming of the Son of Man be. Oops. Yeah, he's going to have to build them. Okay, he's talking to his people in his day. And I prophesy in the name of the Lord that the state of Illinois shall become a great mountain, a great and mighty mountain, as a city set upon a hill that cannot be hid, and a great, they put candle because it's missing, that giveth light to the world. This is Zion and Jerusalem, the mountain cities of the Lord in America, in southern Illinois. And the city of Nauvoo also. So Nauvoo is not Zion and New Jerusalem, is it? That's in northern Illinois. Shall become one of the greatest cities in the world. He could be referring to his day and time. And wanting Mormons not to neglect the poor is a common theme here too, because that's what destroys nations. It's what destroyed Sodom. This is the principal place of gathering. And help to build up the city of our God. We are not greatly distressed, no, nor ever will be. This is the principal place of gathering. Therefore, let the brethren begin to roll in like clouds. All right, and then section 85, which also we need to get to. So, Joseph Smith translation, Revelation 12, D and C 85. Technically, selections from the Book of Moses talking about Enoch City coming back. That's just Zion being restored by the man like Moses, setting it up, because Joseph Smith is the original city that left because it was abandoned and destroyed, and then will come back, southern Illinois, in the latter days. So it's not the Russians to Utah, as Nelson is saying that will be. Alright. So yeah, you're not supposed to pay tithing in order to enter into the temple. And it doesn't cost to enter into Zion. If you are able to pay for them, and if you're not able to pay for them, you shall have them without money and without price. So Brigham Young, no, he forced everybody to pay for a place to stay here in Utah. With his perpetual immigration fund, which was human trafficking, he paid, through Mormons paying, to have other Mormons from around the world come to Utah, and then force them to pay that loan back, because it was a loan. They had to pay in order to stay. When they fully paid, they were given citizenship, and that was also a crime. Only Congress grants citizenship. So, yeah. Great blessing, the times of adversity, prosperity, the corner of the streets, money, amidst the spirit of dissatisfaction. Yeah. Now from this hour, being everything you can, bring and build a temple unto the Lord, a house into the mighty God of Jacob. We will build upon the top of this temple a great observatory. That's going to be awesome. I used to design my home with an observatory on top. And yes, an observatory is not just like a watchtower, but it's also something to look at the stars with. Signs in the heavens. He was wanting this to be built for Mormons to be aware of the signs in the heavens. And on the top thereof we will suspend a tremendous bell, so that they can warn their neighbors when destruction comes, the enemy comes. But this is also a pattern for how to build Zion as well. That it will need to have a temple on the top of Zion city, the mountain city of Zion, pyramids. That's why I guess I'll have to put it in the video, hopefully, if I can remember, about the picture that I have on the background of my computers. It's got the medical doctor who replaced the original medical doctor on Stargate Atlantis, when Stargate Atlantis was under attack by the meteors that were sent to destroy them. They were able to laser zap it, but it still had chunks that hit Atlantis as it was trying to rise up and head out into outer space to head back to Earth. And in that blast, it took out the medical doctor. And so then she became the new medical doctor from that incident. And and so she's the symbol of a good, strong, educated woman. I'm not afraid of that, but that tends to lead to pride and superior thinking, that they know better than men, and that men need to be replaced. And then they don't think about being equal. Instead, they do the separate but equal. And many problems ensue. Thinking that because men are oppressing women, that women have to fight back and suppress men. No! You need to be good. Teach proper sex ed, which is a medical science. Medical doctor. But yeah, she's standing next to the utopian pyramid paradise, where Egyptian pyramids are all over the place. It's kind of it should be the hanging gardens of Babylon, where the ziggurats had layered structures for patios at each level, so that you can plant a garden on each level. And that's more of what I'm thinking for Mountain of the Lord. But yes, the Egyptians with go away. Go away. Don't interrupt my video like you're already doing. So is my anti-track. So apparently I'm being tracked right now. And it was warning me of that. But yeah, that's my concept of Zion. One good woman. Peter Cetera, isn't it? Isn't that his song? One Good Woman? Or is it not that title? Let's find out. But September will still be in the footnotes. Yeah, it's saving. 2 is saving. Once it's finished, then I can make sure to put September for that, and then September will be for this. But yeah, I'm bringing up other songs. So yes, there are lots of good songs. You just have to have them done correctly. That's ready to go on to the next movie. We got about 15 minutes of time left on this video. And of course Google is struggling today. Of course I do have so many programs running, but that was supposed to be fixed with the... Such incompetence. Technology is supposed to improve over time. It's not supposed to get worse. New and improved failures. Peter Cetera, one clear voice. One good woman, apparently not. No, it is. One good woman. Peter Cetera. Why didn't you show that? You made me type it all out and press enter to find out I was correct. This is an awesome song. And I should have his full album, his full collection. But that would require checking another file with a list of what I have, or going to my music collection file in one of the other things. I only have specific songs on my computer. Alright. Great Observatory, Warsaw, Carthage, Ancient Record. Then comes the ancient records. Yea, all of them, dig them up, dig them, yes, bring them forth speedily. I've got them. It's my 200-pound Egyptian gold plates, which is not the abridgment, it's actually all of them. And even though they're condensed in JPEGs and PDFs and Word programs, yeah, still a lot. And it needs to be organized, but as it was made clear to me as I'm still asking, I want this to be done and over with, and I'm being told you have to keep waiting till the end. And so yeah, I'm still in collection mode, needing to PDF and MP4s and MP3s and so yeah, I've got it all scriptures, all the ancient scriptures, I got them. But they need to get to Zion, and Mormons need to come to Zion, because otherwise nobody's gonna, what good are they if nobody cares? And then talking about the poor again, then shall the poor be fed by the curious, who shall come from all parts of the world to see this wonderful temple. Yeah, I mean, they're going to defend it. It's going to get built, and then the kings and queens of the allies, who apparently are able to fend off the enemy, are going to come. I prophesy that pleasure parties shall come from England to see the mammoth, and like the Queen of Sheba shall say the half never hath was told them. Schoolhouses shall be built. Yeah, because people need to be educated. And high schools, they're talking about colleges, higher education rather than high school, shall be established, and the great men of the earth shall send their sons here to board while they are receiving their education. So yeah, it will be based on science, not all things Jesus. And so Jesus created gravity. And so Jesus can defy the law of gravity. Oh my God. And so yeah, that will need to be done. All the sciences are part of the records. And like I told you, the ancient Egyptians were far superior on all things science. Ancient Egyptians. They were not cave people. Shall crave the privilege of educating their children with us, and these poor saints shall chink in their pockets the money of these proud men received from such as come. He's talking about his Zion, but there's no money in Zion. The Book of Mormon tells us no monetary system in Zion. Hello? Don't be giving me grief. So apparently I'm being hacked with somebody tracking me. It said 95% finished saving. That one's finished and I need to change it out. So it's priestcraft is what's talked about first. And 2 Nephi 26. Yeah, because priestcrafts are that they get money at the expense of Zion. They don't care about Zion and the people. And so he forbids it. We need to have charity, which is agape in Greek, which is translated correctly as love, not charity. Would not suffer the laborer to perish if they loved each other. And that's the thing. Capitalism doesn't love. Communism doesn't love. Whatever we have as an economy doesn't love. Barter system doesn't love. Other economies don't love because they're using monetary system of economy. But the laborer in Zion shall labor for Zion. For if they labor for money, perish. The United States is perishing because of the love of money. It's all about a monetary system of economy. We're about to default on our debts, and it's going to cause an economic disaster. All because of money, because of the monetary economy. It's being held hostage by the GOP House. Which should never happen if you're not using a monetary system of economy. See, my mom's birthday, covering stories about my mom today for this series. As her name, Judy, comes from Esau, who, after losing the birthright and blessing to Jacob, marries the great and abominable churchwoman named Judith. And they have a son and name him Ra, the Egyptian sun god, which is similar to Amun, who is the sun god at noonday. See, Ra is the sun generally. You look up, there's the sun, Ra. The Aten is the disk of the sun, which Akhenaten replaced the Amun priesthood with the Aten priesthood. Section 88 or 84, where Moses took the priesthood out of the midst of Israel and him also. Oh, it's finished saving. Yay! Bling, bling. And so, yes, part dos equis. And my mom, after I was complaining about the economy, how I'm never going to be able to own my own home, because I was told that in high school. The majority of you will never ever be able to own your own home. Oh, great. Why am I at school again? What's the purpose? And why should I go into honors programs? And my mom got upset with me. This is the best economy that we can come up with, and no, it's not good. And if I had known about this passage, I would have quoted it to her and shoved it down her throat. The best economy uses no money. Because you don't need money. It's ridiculous. It's worthless. Think about it with me. We have bank robbers. Why? Well, they claim they need money to buy things. Really? So why didn't you just steal what you need rather than buying the money that you need to steal? It's just... But yeah, money in and of itself is worthless. It has no value. It's only the value that we attach to it in order to buy things with it. And so even though our economy is horrifying, because we still have minimum wage for over a decade now. It's the same minimum wage, but the cost of living is skyrocketing. You know, I was able to get chocolate milk yesterday for 99 cents. A gallon of chocolate milk for 99 cents. There was a half a dozen of them that were on sale because they expire May 6th and they're not selling. And so they need to get rid of them. And so they have to lower the prices in order to get rid of them. Because otherwise they'll have to mark it off as lost product material. Pull it from the shelves. And so it looks like after this break, my other deliveries should be here. Yay! And so it also informs me that people still need food, obviously, but they're not getting chocolate milk. Chocolate milk is a luxury item rather than a core staple item, like orange juice. The gallons of milk were gone of orange juice. I had to get the half gallons, which were better because for some reason 2 half gallons are lighter than a full gallon. But I guess it's 2 gallons. Is it 2? It's a gallon. So I don't get it. I don't understand why that is the way it is, but it's weird. But nonetheless, I was able to get an extra gallon that I was anticipating by getting half gallons. That's always how it works. But, you know, businesses don't care. They think they know better. And so, yeah, I'm witnessing that Utahns, because I'm living here in Utah, are suffering economically because of the higher prices of food. And once we default on our debt, it's going to skyrocketly get worse. So are you going grocery shopping and getting for a month? You have a car. I don't. So you won't have to go through what I did yesterday. But I have no idea when it will happen. I just know that all of a sudden they're back in the news again after an absence, after we were first told that it was going to happen. And so, yeah, because they're working on it now, it's about to collapse, I'm guessing. Because they always do this every year when they're trying to balance the budget. And they always fight with each other and eventually get it extended unless they, you know, have to shut down the government. But, yeah, we're in for some real hurting, guys. I hope you're taking this seriously, despite how long this is. When I talk about these other things, it still has value in the whole discussion. This is not a formal discussion of things. This is me as a human being communicating with you. I'm not trying to entertain you. I'm trying to warn you, because you're not catching on to Joseph Smith and the Book of Mormon's warnings. And so I'm yet another witness of the danger we all face, because we're in the final year. Everything has already happened that was prophesied to happen. And now we're in the final year. And the final things are what we're mostly discussing here. So, yeah, back to... Oops, I didn't want to exit out of that. Let me finish up with 19 July 1840. Now, brethren, I obligate myself to build as great a temple as ever Solomon did. Mountain City, Pyramid, Solomon, for David's son, the David-Moses dynasty of the 18th reign of pharaohs. Ta-da! If the church will back me up, nope, they murdered you. Impoverish any man that enrich thousands. I prophesy that the time shall be when these saints shall ride proudly over the mountains of Missouri. Back over the mountains of Ephraim to dwell. But yeah, Missouri will be utterly destroyed also. That's why I'm saying that Mormons who think that they need to go to Missouri, oops. And so, yeah, I have my aunt and Uncle Smith who went to Missouri, and I heard them when we were playing cards. I don't know if was it spades that we were playing as a family when we'd have get-togethers at my grandparents' mansion. But, yeah, they would joke and laugh about how they're already in Missouri to prepare for when the latter days happens. And I'm sure they didn't even think it was going to happen in their day and time, but we're Mormon. We all know about the prophecies according to the Danite misinterpretations. And so that's why they're there. But nope, they're going to be destroyed too. And so, and I pray the Father that many here may realize this and see it with their eyes, envision it. He's hoping you catch the vision. And if it should be will of God that I might live to behold that temple completed. Now, he knew that he was going to die. But listen to this. Remember Nelson talking about the chief cornerstone of the cornerstone being Jesus, screwing up the scripture prophecy about a cornerstone that the builders reject becoming the capstone. That's the correct interpretation and translation of headstone. It's the top capstone. To behold that temple completed and finished from the foundation to the top stone, the mountain cities of Zion and New Jerusalem. So there you have it. So we've got Joseph Smith, Revelation 12, and section 85. Unless I come up with more stuff to talk about, then we go into part 4. Alright, what a hassle. Let's see if we can finish in this final hour here. If not, cut it shorter. Not likely, because I found another passage that we should probably cover for the topic. And, as I hopefully will put in order at the beginning of the video, YouTube fully attacked me. So apparently I was being tracked, and, dear God, just evil. Evil. And this is why they're gonna destroy us. Them that come, they that come, shall burn them. This great and abominable church are them. They paid for it, as they're doing business with our enemies. They cause it with the problems that they do to us here in Utah. It's just fully evil. And they weaponize Mormons. So yes, the YouTube Mormon employee is behind the troubles with part 2. And I want to watch them. I can't because I got to do them first. Because nobody else is telling you about this stuff. So, I got an email reply from Bob Wilkinson. He is being a dumbass because of what the church taught him. And I'll read it to you. Because he assumes that his comment's going to be shown to all of you. And so he expects to be seen and heard. Despite, well, this is one of the bigger videos from the last couple of days, but today I'm getting no views at all, other than that 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. viewing of 345. I'm below 20 on every single hour this day. And so, yeah, this new series is not helping the algorithms kick in for anything else. So, yeah, YouTube's under full attack on me today. I didn't even check. I was going to check the church for the church news to see what they snuck in for the weekend. I can do it right now, but yeah, we'll do it right now because Bob has to do with the topic, because I need to cover something that I forgot to cover when we went over 45. Joseph Smith is quoting from Zechariah and adds some information in there. He adds feet, but we'll get to it. And he changes prints into wounds. That's important, because the Book of Mormon, as it's not literal history, is symbolic, type and shadow. And Joseph Smith, following up in section 45, with wounds instead of prints for the nails going in. That's huge for interpretation. So, as it's almost 7, alright, that's all the same on the front page. Medical training, computers, enhance education, and service in flooded communities. But I'm not seeing like the video I did yesterday. It's 28th. Yeah, that got moved down. Okay. And there's Bednar teaching about temples and clean water as a gift. So, yeah, really nothing new other than the medical training, computers, enhanced education. So, yeah, they're responding again to me after I did the video about them stalking me and responding to me through the church news. And so, yes, if they were doing medical training, that would be awesome. And giving computers, that would be awesome, rather than having some other Mormon give their computers to these people, whoever they are. Service from Latter-day Saints of Rome. If you're going to counter-argue, there are some basic rules you need to follow. 1, you have to be sound. 2, you can't dig a deeper hole for yourself. Africa. Ta-da. Game, set, match. Dear God. So, in collaboration with the World Health Organization, the church is taking credit for what the World Health Organization is doing. This is just despicable. Alright. That's why they're the great and abominable church. And Mormons cheer the church is evil. Call it good. And good evil. Huh. Isn't that from Isaiah? Well, yeah, because Mormons twist it around. And say that I'm twisting it around. Dumbasses. That's all I got to say on that. So Bob Wilkinson, they think committing crime is a good thing to do. The Mormon for YouTube, committing cyber terrorism is good to do if you're protecting the church. If the church needs to be protected, it's not the true church. And so you're just going down in flames with them. Oh no, they'll never, you can't stop them. Nobody can dare to molest or make afraid. And Mormons know what I'm saying when I say that. And they refuse to make the connection. They're stuck on Jesus, as Bob Wilkinson is. So here he's thinking he's being a smart aleck, thinking he's tricking me with an unsound, fallacious argument. So, in response to Mormons' rush to judgment, about LDS Church big lie. But at least Bob, whereas the other guys didn't, is focusing on the big lie. Way to go, Bob. So, Jesus doesn't exist until he actually appears and shows you the prints in his hands and feet. I just want to bang my head. It's just, there is no penetrating this idolatrous wall of ignorance. There is no one in the universe who can break through to these people. It is a losing battle. They are fully ripe for destruction this year. Because can't you figure it out? He thinks he's being clever. Because he's assuming Jesus is real and exists. Because he's going to come and show the prints in his hands and his feet. Because the Book of Mormon is literal history and he did it to the American Indians. And thus, what reminded me about Zechariah and in his parable in section 45, that it has nothing to do with actual stigmata. Great movie, by the way. Catholic-based, but still good movie. Who's the actor and actress? It is rated R. So those of you who are sensitive to idols, you probably don't want to watch it. Stigmata, 1999 film. I should make sure I have that in my collection, because that was in my collection prior to the church's indefinite incarceration on me and torture onto attempting to kill me, murder me. Stigmata. Otherwise, I'll have to make sure I get added to the list. Doesn't. Oh, yep, rated R. Rupert Wainwright is the director. MGM. My dad had stock in MGM. Written by Tom Lazarus. Okay, so yeah, Gabriel Byrne. Recognize him. He's Father Andrew. Patricia Arquette is the woman who gets the stigmata. Frankie Page. Ann Cusack is Dr. Reston. Jonathan Price. Cardinal Danny. There's ... after that. Nina Long is Donna Chadway. Lydia Hazan, no picture, is an attending nurse. And Portia de Rossi is Jennifer Kellyho. I guess we can view all, but that's pretty much it. It's mainly between Father Andrew, who goes to investigate by the Catholic Church's orders to find out if this is a legitimate case, and he's skeptical because stigmata, but yeah, she's showing stigmata, the wounds of Christ, and she doesn't understand because she's a heathen. She's not supposed to. Awesome movie. And so, yeah, Joseph Smith adds feet. See, this is where Bob gets it from. He doesn't know he gets it from that. Section 45 of the Doctrine and Covenants. Joseph Smith added it. Because no feet is in Zechariah. And it says wounds in Zechariah. And so the authors of the Gospels, who were Jews, not Christians, so they weren't talking about Jesus, they were just using the name Jesus. Bob doesn't understand this either, as I'll finish here. And so they are the ones who said that he's nailed to a cross. It's not how the Romans did it. It was a pole. And so you can't have the nails in the hands and the feet, and it makes it complicated, to say the least. I mean, it could be possible. It'd have to be behind the back for the hands, and placing them one over the other to nail them through that way. And then the feet through through both. And so Christians don't understand this. And so to make it simple, they assume there's a cross, and it's a T rather than a cross. And then they have pictures of him on the cross. And so Brigham Young, with his temple thing, the sure sign of the nail. That's what he's referring to. Because of the weight that Jesus endured, they made sure to nail him in the wrist. And so therefore we do the second token of the Melchizedek priesthood, the patriarchal grip or sure sign of the nail. It's code for we're going to conquer America. With the lie of Jesus. And spread it to the rest of the world. I'm really getting annoyed by the allergy dust that's coming from the vents. It's right over my bed. They designed this studio so that my bed would go right behind me, so that I'd have two end tables and then a little dining table to eat meals, and then a desk here against the wall. they're discriminating against me. The architect is discriminating because I purposely want to have my desk in this little cubby hole area. And so I don't really want my bed up against the window. It'd be nicer to have it this way, but they didn't design it to make that so. But yeah, my desk, it's stuck in a locker now. Nobody will respond from the company, and I hope somebody who knows how to fix it will work tomorrow. But I don't think they're going to want me or like me breaking down the door to get my packages. Though I was really angry enough to want to do that. So then he continues, Jesus, or Joshua, good for you, Bob. Good for you. Was an invention of Constantine, ? So we shouldn't use the Greek form? What? What are you talking about? Both. In Spanish, it's Jesus. So who cares? It's the same name. Oh, dear God. He's thinking that because the name exists, therefore there's only one person with the name, and therefore he's real. He exists. And it's the Christ. Dear God. It's just, he's so stupid. So stupid. And so I have to go to the Book of Abraham, even though, yeah, let me write this down so I can come back to it, because it took me a long time to find this. This is a hard one to find. Section 112. Yeah, okay. It begins in 23. Talking about Mormons again. Alright, so I think I forgot what I was going to look up anyway. Because Bob was pissing me off. So we use the Greek form. Jesus was invented of Constantine. It's like he doesn't even acknowledge history as real. Hey, what did you think Joseph Smith is talking about in the first vision when he says Christianity is wrong, all wrong, and the creeds are an abomination? Huh? You're just denying Christ. Denying Joseph Smith, sorry. Denying Christ in the process. Joseph Smith's Christ. So, yeah, Alright, I forgot. Getting so annoyed by Mormons. Just so frustrating. But yeah, the Book of Mormon also explains how frustrating it's going to be with Mormons in the latter days as well. Because in the final battle, Moroni is, I think it's Moroni, or is it Mormon? He's praying for his people. It's pretty much the soldiers now. And hoping that they would repent and come unto Christ and be good, not bloodthirsty, vengeful, vindictive people, which is what's going to happen. You know, if an enemy comes with physical troops into Utah, yeah, Mormons are going to defend it. America will defend it. I really hope that liberal Democrats are not so spineless that they would let the enemy just come marching through, because they tell us that Democrats are among the high number of people who have guns. And so, and they're the richer people, and so, yeah, I don't see them as surrendering so quickly when the enemy comes into their neighborhoods. You know, I see Americans putting up a fight, whether they get, annihilated. I still see them putting up a fight. I don't see them surrendering as many of the people did in Ukraine. In the beginning, Ukrainians were coming up with all kinds of weapons that they were makeshifting to defend themselves against the Russians. But the Russians were so cruel and brutal when they conquered. It was just, dear God, it literally is what the Book of Mormon describes in graphic detail as well. And so, Mormons are going to be that graphic and gruesome that the Russians are. So again, added prophecy, which with other experiences in the world, we see that it is a very probable condition that the prophecy will come to pass. So, because we got to get to Revelation 12 and then 85. So this goes in line with 85, as well as section 1, verse 16. This is about setting the temple in order. This is about the corruption of Joseph Smith's temple and the initial rituals that were performed in Joseph's temple. It gets corrupted. Things get added into it that's not supposed to be in there, like the covenant path. None of that was in Joseph's temple. The whole endowment ceremony was added by Brigham Young. And in the beginning, it seemed harmless. It was just the creation and I don't have water this time. And garden stories. And I'm not sure when, because they were still in Illinois when the Warsaw Lodge disincorporated or disowned the Nauvoo Lodge because of what Brigham Young had incorporated from Freemasonry into his rewritten temple text as well. But he had the Nauvoo temple all finished, ready to go in January of 1846, and he did his second anointings with Heber during that time. The two of them were given their second anointings. This is why I'm saying that both Heber and Brigham were the instigators of the whole thing. They were always side by side, even here in the Salt Lake Valley. The two are one, just like Nelson and Oaks. And Oaks, he's the more knowledgeable. That's what it was. I remembered. Thank you, Oaks. It's the Book of Abraham, chapter 3, right near the end. Nope, before that, the intelligences that were organized. Okay. Yep, here it is, verse 19. And the Lord said unto me, these two facts do exist. That there are two spirits, one being more intelligent than the other. There shall be another more intelligent than they. He's referring to the concept of spirit intelligence having levels of intelligence. And then he goes on to say that unorganized intelligence, such as, I am the Lord thy God, I am more intelligent than they all. Hilarious. So, yeah, it actually, it's long. It actually does apply. I did the study and the research because I wanted to know the answers. Nobody was giving me the answers, so I had to find out for myself. And then nobody else had the answers, and so I had to do my own investigation and made decipherments and made discoveries. And so, yeah, what you are witnessing here in this video series is what nobody else can tell you, because I'm the only one who did the study and research. And thus, I am more intelligent than you all. But you argue. You think you're smarter by making a dumbass comment. Bob. What about Bob? Awesome movie. So, verily, verily, I say unto you, section 112, starting in verse 23, darkness covereth the earth, gross darkness the minds of the Mormons. He's talking about Mormons, but he says people, because he doesn't want to offend the Mormons. Just offend them. They're past feeling. And all flesh has become corrupt before my face. Behold, vengeance cometh speedily upon the inhabitants of the earth. This is not God who causes this. In Alma chapter 3, the Amlicites betray the Nephites and secede over to the Lamanites and join them in the battle against the Nephites. And they then mark themselves with red rather than a skin of blackness. It's not literal history. It's therefore symbolic, type and shadow, and they're now using red markings instead of black skin. So it's not literal history. Therefore it is not racist. This has a meaning behind it, and I just gave you the meaning. It's referring to the darkness of the minds. And so it has nothing to do with blacks being evil naturally. No, they don't. They aren't. And the guy on CNN, I heard his comment. He did not say what everybody's accusing him of. They misinterpreted his own words. They showed the clip, but then they don't interpret it correctly. He did not say that women are past their prime in their 50s. He didn't say that. Don Lemon was trying to empathize with the plight of abuse against women. Not abusing women, but women are being abused. You know, that only 20-year-olds, 20s and 30-year-olds are considered in their prime, is what he said. Considered. Not by him. He didn't say that. He said that in general, women are attacked by considered considered as only in their prime in their 20s and 30s. And when you get into your 40s and 50s, you're not considered in your prime anymore. He was trying to empathize. And so that was horrible what they did to him in firing him. It was wrong. But I don't understand why he was using it in the context with Haley, the one who's running for president from the Republican conservative side. Haley Jackson, is it? I can't remember her name. But she's apparently 51, so she's a young'un. And you have to be 36 years old in order to run for president. And so I'm kind of confused as to why he's bringing up ageism with women in the context of her running for president. Because everybody, whether you're a male or a female, you have to be 36 years old. That's in the Constitution. And so I'm a little confused as to why he would bring up ageism in that regard. But she's not 80. Like Biden is. And Trump, isn't he 80 or close to 80? And so other than that, I'm confused by him referring to her as not being in her prime as considered by the populace and the media and the entertainment and the people, which was caused by psychologists who are putting this into the minds of people to divide us so that we can be conquered and destroyed. Because the Nazis who were given asylum in America are still pissed that we won the war, and they want revenge. And so the CIA took them in and helped give them a place where they can get revenge on America. So sick and wrong. Okay. So can I get back to what I was talking about? Behold, vengeance cometh speedily. Oh, right. I didn't finish the Alma thing. And so Mormon, who's apparently abridging, beginning of Alma, I think it's still Sidney Rigdon, who's the major author of this part. Oliver Cowdery doesn't show up in the linguistic investigation until around Alma 32. So Alma and Amulek with the Zoramites. That's Oliver Cowdery, his contribution. So yeah, he was helping Sidney Rigdon out in Ohio, regardless of what church history or the church tells us of church history. And so he stops talking about the Amlicites and tells us that he would have us know and understand that God didn't cause the curse upon the Amlicites of the red mark. That they caused it. They did it. And because they did it, because of their darkened mind, they brought the curse upon themselves. They did it. God doesn't bless or curse anybody. He just gives you inspiration that if you follow it, you will get the fruit of blessings. Blessings are not a feeling. Blessings are not a hope. Blessings are tangible. They are the consequences. They are the results. And so there is no blessings of not watching R-rated movies. Sorry. That's ridiculous. That's idol worship. You don't get blessed or cursed with idol worship. You get cursed, I guess, but there is no blessings with idol worship. No matter how much you pray to Jesus to bless you, it ain't gonna happen. You're praying to a dumb idol. And so, vengeance cometh speedily because of the darkened minds of Mormons. A day of wrath, a day of burning. See the connection? A day of desolation, a day of weeping, of mourning, and of lamentation. What's coming is going to be awful, horrifying, beyond just tragic. And as a whirlwind, tomorrow, Louisiana at the tip is going to have a whirlwind hurricane. I forgot to bring that up. It shall come upon all the face of the earth. And upon my house, that's the temple, shall it begin. Why? Because it has been corrupted. And from my house shall it go forth. So Mormons are corrupted in the great and abominable church's temple text. And they then spread it to all the world. So, Jesus Christ, whom Joseph Smith calls an abomination in verse 19 of the first vision? Yeah. Mormons are weaponized to attack anyone who dares to molest or make afraid. To use science to say, hey, the Book of Mormon is not literal history, and Mormons attack. Bob attacked with ignorance. He's got a darkened mind. He's not very intelligent. He thinks he's clever. He thinks he's owned me. But no, he's dumb. And so I don't need the internet anymore. Let's get rid of the internet. Oops. I have to ban him from my channel next time. Hang on to what we got. We got a lot of hate between us. That's not the lyrics. Desi, she's awesome. I hope she becomes the regular host. I would watch. She has been awesome this week. And so, first among those among you, Mormons, this is in the latter days, this is now, saith the Lord, who have professed to know my name. Bob, what's the name? Jesus? Oh, we can't say Jesus, we have to use Joshua? Maybe Jesus. And have not known me, Bob, and have blasphemed against me in the midst of my house. I understand that the changes that Nelson made in January are to emphasize the name of the church. And Jesus. That's blasphemy. And so, trouble not yourselves concerning the affairs of my church. He's now talking to the actual person he's talking to here. He's finished with the prophecy. But letting us know it has to do with his church that gets corrupted. The temple. So then we can go to section 1, verse 16, and then Yeah, you should already have it understood now what Section 85 refers to by setting the temple in order. Set my house in order. So back in 14, he's talking about the big prophecy of the Christ from Deuteronomy. The Jewish Christ, whom Joseph Smith says is the man like Moses. He's going to be Mormon. And they don't give heed to the words of the biblical and Book of Mormon prophets and apostles. Neither to his voice nor to the voice of his servants, which is Joseph Smith. This is not Brigham Young. You cannot impose Brigham Young here, because that presupposes that Brigham Young is good, and it presupposes that he's the second president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Both of those are wrong. He was neither. But there's the pattern quote, shall be cut off from among the people. That's what Joseph Smith uses in the second vision, which is actually utterly destroyed. Day of wrath, burning, desolation. For they, Mormons, have strayed from mine ordinances. These are the temple ordinances. And have broken mine everlasting covenant. The law of chastity was again changed to order Mormons to practice polygamy. That's his law that Nelson added in. That's section 132 that Joseph Smith was framed for writing. It was Brigham Young's writing. He wrote it after his latest divorce had locked him up in jail. Women rule. But you're not supposed to rule. You're supposed to be equal partners. But Brigham Young did not allow it. So she divorced and had him locked up in jail. And so, yes, he wrote that, because he doesn't want to be the one to write it, because then he'll know that it was just retaliating against his ex. So he framed Joseph, as is the custom. And so, yes, Joseph all of a sudden, instead of preaching monogamy, which was the chapter in the original Doctrine and Covenants, now is saying, Emma, you better let me marry other women, or you're going to be destroyed. Really? When you're watching movies and TV shows, what really is disturbing is the writer of the script who doesn't know how to develop a character. And those movies become jokes, because you're like, what? And it is frustrating that they establish a character for us throughout most of the movie, and then at the end, all of a sudden we get this bombshell that they were a completely different character the whole time, and they tricked us. No, you can't do that. You have to demonstrate in the character that they could do that, so that when it comes up, we're not like, wait, what are you doing? How did that happen? No, you can't, no. You have to give some indication that the character would set it off. Or you have to have some character learn or speak of something that would indicate the potential for the change of character in a person. But that requires intelligence to be able to be that clever for a movie. Alfred Hitchcock was one such person. But, yeah. And so, Mormons Mormons are going to be wicked because of the temple endowment ceremony, because of polygamy. That's how you break the everlasting covenant of monogamy. Mormons are practicing polygamy, even though they're not obeying Nelson's order. It's only those who've gotten divorced, not knowing that they were being obedient, because their sealing is still intact. The church does not acknowledge the government. When you get civilly married, no, you still have to get sealed in the temple. When you get divorced, no, you have to have a sealing cancellation. The government acknowledges the church, but the church does not acknowledge the government. And so, such is the case. Mormons are practicing polygamy. I am still sealed to the second X. And so, if I were still an active, deceived Mormon, still going to church, still going to the temple, and happened to find a little cutie. There were twins I saw on the platform yesterday as I was heading out shopping. I was looking to see if there were name tags, but no name tags, but they were dressed as if they were going to Temple Square. And they're somewhat young. And so, because it was somewhat earlier in the day, they must live across the street from me, I guess. I haven't seen them in this building, but I haven't seen most people in this building. And yesterday, somebody brand new moved in to one of the upper floors because they had to use the elevator. And, obviously, I hope we're over 18. I can't tell anymore. I seriously have to card women now if I want to talk with them. I'm sorry, ma'am, miss, or I'm going to have to see your identification to make sure you're over 18 in order to talk with you. I am 87 years old. Wow. I'm trying to remember back to the Don Lemon thing, and I can't, and it would have been a perfect joke. Oh well. And so, he continues on 16. They seek not the Lord. Mormons, you're not seeking the Christ to establish his righteousness. But every Mormon walketh in his own way. Yeah, it's called a spiritual witness. Your spiritual witness is of your own making. And you use it to justify doing whatever you want to do, whatever you want to believe, whatever you want to feel. And it's idol, and after the image of his own God, which you call Jesus Christ. And so when you say that you can't watch R-rated movies, you're saying that Jesus orders you to not watch R-rated movies, or to wear certain clothing, or to eat certain foods, or not eat certain foods. You're not using science. You're using an idol Jesus to associate with other people, how to treat other people. You're blaming Jesus, the YouTube employee who attacked me for video in part 2. Use Jesus to justify it. Bob justified his comment with Jesus. Are you still not getting it? because the one person who keeps putting a thumbs down on all my videos is making sure to be here for these video series too. You guys are the enemy. You've been weaponized by the church to be the enemy, to cause the burning, the desolation, the destruction, the wrath. And so then he prophesies, even Babylon the Great, which shall fall. Now this comes from Revelation, so it's not new. But the other stuff that it's Mormons to blame is what's new. And it's because of what Brigham Young changed in the temple that causes Mormons to be the cause of the latter-day destruction and burning. And so, thus, wherefore I, the Lord, knowing the calamity which should come upon the inhabitants of the earth, called upon my servant Joseph Smith Jr., spake unto him from heaven, and gave him commandments. Because he, too, is the man like Moses. 2 Nephi chapter 3. So he is the founding Christ of Mormonism. And you were supposed to hearken to him. But the great and abominable church changed his words, changed the interpretation of his words, changed the visionary accounts into literal history, changed the Book of Mormon into literal history. These are all abominable. And you don't get it. You don't want to get it. You don't want to see that you're the enemy. Alright, section 85. And so, yes, this is a prophecy. It had nothing to do with W.W. Phelps or Polly P. Pratt, or I think it was W.W. Phelps. Yeah, W.W. Phelps. And this was not put in the Doctrine and Covenants by Brigham Young either. He purposely left it out. But when he got the idea from his ex who locked him up, he also got darkly minded to put this in finally. Because he then said, hey, I'm the one mighty and strong. Because Joseph was wicked. Joseph is now verse 8. Brigham Young thought he was verse 7. Because he had to set the temple in order. He had to give the inheritances, the lot of inheritances to the saints in this valley. He established Zion. He. And so thus, what Joseph was talking about was corrupted. And so this is the man like Moses. That's why Brigham Young was called the modern Mormon Moses. Because of the exodus from the United States, fleeing the country. And so here's the repetition. Lord God will send one mighty and strong, holding the scepter of power. The Magna earthquake was so awesome. Because I did the videos. Magna, in translation, is strong. So Gabriel, in translation, is strong, the God of strength. And so the angel Gabriel was the one who knocked the horn out of the angel Moroni on the Salt Lake Temple. Awesome. And the angel Gabriel is the one who made the announcement of the coming of the Christ. It wasn't his birth, it was the beginning of the ministry in 2017. That's what they're all symbolic types and shadows of. And so Though I think the birth did have a messenger announcement. I'd have to go back and check and find out, but I think so. I did that series about the prophecies of him, and as a Mormon, the specific prophecies, such as the Temple of Angels, where his parents will get sealed in the great and abominable church, from which he is conceived. And that's the same temple, the Temple of Angels, where he will be endowed and given the new name Nephi. And so I went over and showed you what date that would have been, according to President Benson, who was the only one who allowed it, because he knew about it. And he's purposely mocking the prophecies, because the enemy doesn't believe that the Jewish Christ will come, though they know that the prophecies of the star dates are real, because they're using that to coordinate their attacks. But they don't believe that a human would actually fulfill the prophecies. That's just weird, and that can't happen. But yeah, they're more worried about Christianity, believing that somebody unreal is going to come back a second time after failing to fulfill prophecy in the Roman period time, because they changed it to literal history, who's going to come and overthrow the government. And so yes, that's the code, using Christian Jesus to communicate in their secret word code what they're going to do. And so yes, I got to get the book. And thus the church was revealing to us this whole time that they were going to overthrow the government. And they were pissed. And they sent me the death threat. And people were saying, no, that's not, no. And then boom. After all the evidence of the church's corruption, crimes, frauds, lies, deceptions, evils, plots, seditious conspiracy, terrorism, money frauds, tax evasion, SEC crimes, protection rackets, you're still in denial? So let's finish it off. Joseph Smith translation, Revelation 12, which I've already discussed, but let's make sure that it's covered for you, since this is the topic. And so, and technically, the marriage supper of the wedding feast of the Lamb, section 58, corresponds with chapter 19 of Revelation. Because yes, the whole scriptures are about this. And so I'm trying to think of as many new stuff that Joseph Smith adds. And staying away from the Book of Mormon for the most part, just covering the general topics, because the whole Book of Mormon is, I'd have to do a whole series on the Book of Mormon. I did a series on the Exodus patterns in the Book of Mormon, and that was many videos in that series, because there's so many Exodus patterns. But yeah, those need to be factored into these added prophecies. And so, on the outside, yes, we have the star date that's given, outset. But they move verse 5 to verse 3, confirming that they know the date. That they know the sign in the heavens in its full entirety. Because Virgo is the constellation, the sun is involved, the moon is involved at the feet of the woman. And upon her head, that's Leo constellation, is 12 stars. Well, you got to know that Leo only is designated with 9, which means there are 3 roaming stars, i.e. planets, who join in the constellation for this sign. Conjunction. And so she's pregnant, which means there's another planet. 4 planets now. There are 5 visible planets. 1 planet is missing. Oh, there it is, verse 5. Saturn. All 5 visible planets are involved in this conjunction, giving us a very precise star date. In fact, it's so precise, this is the only time it ever occurred and will ever occur. It will never occur again. It never occurred previous, it will never occur again. And so, yeah, I dare the enemy to not want me to be true, that they will purposely ruin their plans of timing just to prove me wrong. Because these signs are never going to happen again. They're going to have to recalculate with a whole new method of worldwide communication for the coordination of the attacks. And I've exposed it. So if they want to prove me wrong, they've got to figure out another way to communicate all around the world so that nobody else can figure it out. Because I figured it out. And so, yeah, it's going to happen. Unless they can figure out another means of secret communication code. And then the other factor is that Joseph Smith added sign in the heaven in the likeness of things on the earth. So not only are they star dates, not only are the scriptures written according to the star dates for the latter-day time period of 2017 to 2024, as Monday is going to be the Eli and his 2 sons' death. Now, 2021, I was doing sign from scriptures after sign from scriptures that whole year. And there was no event on earth. But the meaning was symbolic as a warning. And 3rd Nephi, chapter 1, tells us there were multiple signs. But Mormons were getting bored and stopped believing in the signs in the heavens, because Monson told them it's not the latter days. With the tetrad and the deaths of Perry Packer Scott that put Nelson in pole position. 3 deaths, 3 replacements, 3 missing stars get added to make a full quorum of 12. Huh. They knew. Or the church purposely caused the deaths so that Nelson would be in pole position. Is that what happened, Nelson? Because Monson also died on a Revelation 12, verse 3, or 4 here. In Joseph Smith translation, it's 3. That's 3 and 4 are combined into actually 4, because 5 gets moved to 3. And so, and the dragon's tail, Draco the dragon, drew the 3rd part of the stars of heaven, That's a quadranted meteor showers. Happens every first week of January. And so, yes, there was more stuff with that sign. As I did the video, as I did the chart of the sun signs, solar eclipses, and lunar eclipses associated with every single president of the church's death, because they murdered Joseph under the same solar and lunar eclipse sign. And so official declaration number 1, verse 11, Wilford Woodruff says that if we lead you astray, God will take us out. He will not allow us to lead you astray. And so, since Joseph Smith was murdered by this church with the signs in the heavens, he then let Mormons know that each and every single president of this church of Jesus Christ is the false church, the great and abominable church. But Mormons don't know. But God's been there the whole time, letting you know through signs in the heavens. And so I don't know how he's real. I don't know how the astronomy works to cause the events on Earth, but it does. And so it's sad that Bob does not understand that their Christ already showed the wounds in his hands and his feet, having put his foot on the Mount Olympus. And Mormons asked him, "What are these wounds in your hands and in your feet?" And he did reply, "These are the wounds with which I was wounded in the house of my friends." It already came to pass, but Bob is so darkened in his mind that he missed it. All of Mormonism missed it, as they have allowed their Christ to be persecuted by the great and abominable church. So, yeah, I set it up for section 58, didn't I? So, let's go to Revelation chapter 19. So, praise Yah is all over the place. And then, verse 9, verse 7. Let us be glad and rejoice and give honor to him, for the marriage supper of the Lamb is come. His wife made herself ready. So not only is it the church and kingdom, it's also a literal woman in symbolism here. He has to get married a third time, because I did the whole series about him and prophecies of him. And so, blessed are they which are called to the marriage supper of the Lamb. And there's his name, Ammon. No man knew but he himself. And 8 April 2024, I saw an angel standing in the sun after being on the white horse. That's 8 April 2024, where Jupiter, who is the Christ symbol, is in Aries, the ram constellation, the sacrificial lamb. That's why all the stories have him dying as a hero figure. Samson, Jesus, Moses even. They all die. And in dying, the great and abominable church falls. Alright, so section 58. I'm not seeing it in the footnotes, guys. What's going on? 58, there it is, in verse 9. Alright. And after that cometh the day of my power, Then shall the poor and the lame and the blind and the deaf come in unto the marriage of the Lamb, and partake of the supper of the Lord, prepared for that great day to come. 8 April 2024. And the testimony might go forth from Zion. Remember the order? Yea, from the mouth of the city of the heritage of God. Yea, for this cause I have sent you hither, and a partridge, which repent of his sins, which are unbelief and blindness of my heart. Not mind in this case. Unbelief is blindness of mind. Ancient days, testimony, kingdom, power, city of law, ruler, judge. There's more to this involving the temple. Seriously, it's before verse 11? Yeah. Okay. Laying the foundations and bearing record of the land upon which Zion of God shall stand. And also that a feast of fat things might be prepared for the poor, yea, the feast of fat things, of wine, of the lees, well defined, refined, that the earth may know the mouths of the prophets shall not fail. All the prophecies will happen. That's why I'm daring them to pick another coded time framing. Yea, supper of the house of the Lord. There's the temple that's added. Marriage supper feast of the Lamb at the temple that is restored in Zion, set in order, unto which all nations shall be invited. That's how the kings and queens of Europe and our allies will come in defense, and thus will be invited. They came to defend it. It's completed. Come to the great supper, where he gets coronated with his wife. First the rich and the learned, the wise and the noble, and after that cometh the day of my power. Then shall the poor and the lame and the blind and the deaf come unto the marriage supper of the Lamb. So there could be some rejections by the rich and the leaders and the wise men of the world. They helped in the battle and want nothing more to do with the religion part. The testimony might go forth from Zion. And yeah, already read that. Okay, that concludes this series. We got it all. My goodness. Okay. So I'm not gonna worry about that. We're already late as it is. I gotta check the news, which may not be until tomorrow morning. So yeah, that one's done. Probably could do one more because I've got until 10-ish, maybe 11-ish. I'll try to watch the episodes of Bill Maher on YouTube. He might talk about a Mormon again.